class, this is the second part of lesson 3.5. Yesterday we learned 3 steps to write an equation. Find the slope, find the y-intercept, and then write your equation. This picture here we're going to do with a graph, and we're still going to follow those exact same 3 steps. We're still going to first find our slope, so let's do that. And now I have a graph, and the easiest way with a graph to find the slope is to use rise over run. And on this graph, you can't see them. They're not actually, well, hopefully you can see them. They're not already there yet, but here's a point. And another point is right here. Those are exact coordinates that I can label because they're crossing right at, the line's crossing right at one of these places. One of those spots. Right here, and right here on this. So I'm going to use just 2 of them. I'm going to go up. That's a rise of 3, and over a run of 2. You should remember that from Algebra 1. So my slope of this line is 3 over 2. 3 halves. That's the rise over the run from the graph. My second step is to find the y-intercept using y equals mx plus b. And I know I have to use it because I can't see the y-intercept on my graph here. But I need an ordered pair for x and y. The directions didn't give me one, so I'm going to pick one of these points right here. And I'm actually going to pick this point right here to use. And if I look at it, I go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 1, 2. So this is the ordered pair, 4, 2. So I'm going to use that as my x and y for finding my y-intercept. So y is 2, my slope is 3 halves, my x-coordinate is 4 plus b. Simplifying this, we have 2 equals 3 halves times 4 is 6 plus b. Subtract 6 from both sides, and we have b equals -4. So that's our y-intercept. Our third step is to write our equation. So y equals, my slope is 3 halves times x minus 4. And there is my final answer. The directions said write an equation, and that's exactly what I did. Alright, we are now going to look at example 5 right here. So example 5 says graph a line with an equation in standard form. So when we have an equation in standard form, this requires us to do do the graphing a little bit different. What we're going to do is we're going to use the x and the y-intercepts to graph it. Now some of you probably realize we could solve this and put it in slope-intercept form, solve it for y, put it in slope-intercept form, and then use the slope and the y-intercept to graph it, but we can also use the x and y-intercepts. This is actually a little bit quicker when it's in standard form. So my first thing to find the x-intercept, I'm going to let y equal 0. So I have 2x plus 3y equals 6. So 2x plus 3 times 0 equals 6. So it's really, since that goes away, 2x equals 6, divide them both by 2, and x equals 3. So one of my intercepts is the point 3, 0. And then my other intercept, to find the y-intercept, I'm going to let x equal 0. So it's 2 times 0 plus 3y equals 6. So this just goes away. I have 3y equals 6, divide both sides by 3, and y equals 2. I said 2, and I wrote y. Y equals 2. So this is the ordered pair, 0, 2. So I have 3, 0, and 0, 2 as 2 points on my graph. So I'm going to quickly sketch my x and y axis. Probably hear my dog playing in the background here. So then I'll put my points on there. 3, 0 would be right here. And 0, 2 would be right here. And then I just simply draw my line through there to make my graph. Alright, let's look at this extra example 5. What I suggest you do is pause the video and you try and find your x-intercept and your y-intercept. So remember, this is how I like to set it up. For my x-intercept, y equals 0. And for my y-intercept, x equals 0. So pause it and try and complete this on your own. Okay, for your x-intercept, you should have written 5x minus 6 times 0 equals 30. So that goes away. I have 5x equals 30, and if you divide both sides by 5, x equals 6. So you have the ordered pair 6, 0, and on the graph, 6, 0 is right here. For your y-intercept, we're going to let x equal 0, so that's 5 times 0 minus 6y equals 30. So this goes away. The biggest mistake here is students forget to write negative 6y equals 30. That's a common mistake. Don't forget that negative sign. Because then what happens? We divide them both sides by negative 6, and y equals negative 5. So that gives me the point 0, negative 5. 0, negative 5 is right here on my graph. And then to finish it up, I'm just going to draw my line through my 2 points. And that right there is the graph of 5x minus 6y equals 30. Now the last two examples, again, things you should remember from Algebra 1. If I want to graph the line x equals 5, this is a special line. If you notice, there's nothing here about y. So what that's really saying is it doesn't matter what y is, x is going to always, always, always equal 5. So I think of this as kind of like a table. And no matter what y is, x is always 5. So I can put a bunch of 5s in here for x. And I'm just going to pick negative 1, 0, and positive 1 as my y values. Could have picked anything, really. If I graph 5, negative 1, it's here. 5, 0 is here. 5, 1 is here. And if you notice, we end up having this vertical line right here. And that's the line x equals 5. Whenever you have just plain x equals a number, it's always going to be a vertical line. So when you have y equals a number, we can think of it really as the same thing, that it doesn't really matter at all what x is, we just have to make sure that y is negative 2. So if I did that, I could make a little table again. You don't have to always make the table once you understand the concept, but y is always going to be negative 2. So let's pick some values for x. Let's just use the same thing, negative 1, 0, and positive 1. So if I graph negative 2, negative 1, it's right here. I said that wrong. If I graph negative 1, negative 2, it's right here. If I graph 0, negative 2, it's right here. If I graph 1, negative 2, it's right here. And notice you've got a horizontal line right here that's being formed. Whenever you have y equals a number, it's going to end up being a horizontal line going through that number on the y-axis. So this is the end of day 2 for lesson 3.5. If you have any questions, you can ask me in class. Have a great day.